We were still writing this just 3 weeks ago. It's 400 pages long. It just went to print. Our warehouse is now full of these books, available at InfoWarsStore.com. If you want a signed copy, want to send it to number one, Amazon.com. It's the companion book to The Great Reset and the War for the World. Let's hear a couple of these little Alex Jones promo predictions. People really like these. They go viral to show folks how we're way ahead of the curve. Then we'll come back with Kent Heckenlively, who was one of the main researchers on this and my co-author, forwarded by Stephen K. Bannon. And he took literally, 40, 50 hours of recordings with me and dozens of meetings with me on the phone and scores of meetings in person. I mean, the other book's really good and really informative, and it's a quick read. This one had 3-4 times the work, I would say, go into it than The Great Reset and the War for the World. This is a more powerful book. The other one's important, shows you the enemy is, what they want to do. This one shows the latest information on the enemy and then how to stop them and how to not destroy the world. And it gets into the pedophile rings and Mossad and MI6 and CIA and pedophile rings and Jeffrey Epstein and outright Satanism and AI and the wars and Ukraine and the surveillance and the tyranny and the Patriot Act and how to stop it and the Great Renaissance and how only God can bring us together to do it. The Great Awakening at InfoWarsStore.com for a signed or unsent copy, or you get it at Amazon.com to send it to number one, which is so important. The last book was sent to number one as well. So I apologize to Kent that I got started late. That was mainly my fault. And we will go to him here in a few minutes. We'll be right back.
Your film is now ready to be shown.
Biological and chemical attacks are imminent. They are preparing us. They are going to create a crisis because they know that they can't deal with a real political backlash and the restructuring and the reforming and getting back to the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. Biological attack is imminent.
We know the government's planning terrorism. We know the Joint Chiefs of Staff wanted to blow up airliners. If you do it, we're going to blame you because we know who's up to it. Or if you let some terrorist group do it, like the World Trade Center, we know who to blame. If any terrorism comes, it's from this government. And if there was an outside threat like a bin Laden, who was a known CIA asset in the 80s, he's the boogeyman they need in this Orwellian phony system.
I mean, I'm not even worthy to be bringing you information this powerful. And I hope that you pay attention to what we cover here minute by minute, because I've had chills since last night. The question is, will you have the courage to really do the research yourself? Because I don't want you to just sit here and hear me make these claims. This just confirms everything else we've already researched. Rockefeller study envisions future dictatorship controlled by elite, millions being killed, mandatory quarantines, checkpoints, everything that's in the other documents. But this dovetails with all the other Rockefeller Foundation documents about the GMO food to sterilize you and the forced vaccines and the hell we're already living in that's just going to continue to intensify until we take our governments back from these eugenics madmen. You're not going to be able to go to the ball games anymore. You're not going to be able to just go out and get drunk with your friends. You're not going to be able to just, go out and enjoy yourself all the time. It's scary. They're preparing to release bioweapons, claim that they're naturally occurring, and then use that as the cover for civil emergency, societal control, crackdowns on free speech. A bioweapon release could be the thing they'd release to bring in a world government to counter a global problem. And the UN has said that a global pandemic is the only thing that may save their world government. Last year, we put this book out, The Great Reset and the War for the World. It became a #1 national bestseller. Now we've put part 2 out, and it's even thicker and more powerful. The Great Awakening, the plan to defeat the globalists and launch the second Great Renaissance. This is such a powerful book. It covers all the globalist plans, the latest developments, how to stop them, and then gives an alternate plan of a society we could build together. That's why it's The Great Awakening. The Great Awakening is happening right now. You can get signed or unsigned copies of the book at InfoWarsStore.com. This is a historic book. I want to thank you all for your support. This is next level information, and it's a great way to not just support the broadcast, but inform yourself to the next level and share the book with friends and family. So whether you want one copy or multiple copies, go now to InfoWarsStore.com and get The Great Awakening. This is going to go to number 1. I want to thank you for your support. It's a powerful book. Get yours now. By the middle of September, that the new policy is being written, you will all have to wear masks again, and so will airport employees.
It's happening. Mask mandates are officially back.
We know the Joint Chiefs of Staff wanted to blow up airliners, Baltimore Sun, or if you let some terrorist group do it, like the World Trade Center, we know who to blame. And if there was an outside threat like a bin Laden, who was a known CIA asset in the 80s,
this group and its leader, a person named Osama bin Laden,
he's the boogeyman they need.
We're looking at a giant war in February right now. I predict the Russians are going to roll in. They're already there. They're going to roll in.
With attacks across Ukraine, which is the size of Texas.
It really was the Iraqis. That's just because they're getting ready to invade Iraq. And what a beautiful setup.
American and coalition forces are in the early stages of military operations to disarm Iraq.
Get ready, because we've had enough after this white supremacist or whoever it is they set up went and did this horrible event. You want to stop these folks, you got to be basically eyes and ears, and they're going to hit at night. They're going to start at about 10 o'clock at night.
A storm of gunfire raining down upon an innocent crowd. It started at 10:08 p.m.
Rockefeller study envisions future dictatorship controlled by elite, and it gets into controlling food, the environment, total control, martial law, millions dead, mandatory quarantines, checkpoints, biometric IDs to travel, to live. Read what these monsters are planning for you. A bioweapon release could be the thing they'd release to bring in a world government to counter a global problem, and the UN has said that a global pandemic is the only thing that may save their world government. It may not be this year, but this is the globalist plan. So if you start seeing a bunch of people die in China, and you see it, 1,000 dead, 100,000 dead, and then by the time you hear it's 100,000 dead, it'll be here on these airplanes, and you won't have anywhere to go.
Common sense are in. Yes, there have been corrupt empires. Yes, they manipulate. Yes, there are secret societies. Yes, there have been oligarchies throughout history. And yes, today in 2002, there is a tyrannical organization calling itself the New World Order, pushing for worldwide government, a cashless society, open borders, total and complete tyranny, where human beings are absolutely worthless. There's 6.25+ billion of us, and the globalists have said it many times. There's too many of us. We're causing a problem. We need to be culled at the tune of 80%. It's amazing to talk about that, but it's the globalists, the UN, their own public statements, and they've convinced a lot of liberals and elitist conservatives and others that by going along with this, that we're intelligent members of society. It's the ultimate Malthus world view. It is this radical, virulent form of social Darwinism. It's the excuse of tyrants. And by creating open borders where there's no national sovereignty and only global bodies that control all the resources, by centralizing and socializing health care, the state becomes God, basically, when it comes to your health. And then by releasing diseases and viruses and plagues upon us, we then basically get shoved into their system.
All right, it's 1:24 Central Time, emergency Saturday, October 7th transmission. Kent Heckenheimly is an amazing author and researcher and helped me do the book, The Great Reset, and now the new book, The Great Awakening, Defeating the Globalist and